The porch swing creaked mournfully in the evening breeze, its rhythmic motion a haunting melody that filled the air with a sense of melancholy. It was a constant reminder of her absence, a ghostly echo of the times they had spent together. Each slow, rhythmic squeak was like a knife twisting in his gut, a painful reminder of the love he had lost. He sat on the top step, clutching a worn blue scarf, the fabric frayed from years of use. The silk was cold and lifeless in his hand, a stark contrast to the warmth it once held when she wore it. It was hers, a cherished gift from a time when their love was new and unblemished. The scent of lavender, once intoxicating and soothing, now choked him with a grief he couldn't escape. He remembered the day he gave her that scarf. They were young, madly in love, and oblivious to the world around them. The memory was vivid, as if it had happened just yesterday. A light snow had fallen, blanketing the town in a pristine white. The air was crisp and cold, but their hearts were warm with the fire of young love. They had spent the day playing in the snow, their laughter echoing through the quiet streets. He could still see her, her cheeks flushed with the cold, her eyes sparkling with joy. Her laughter was a melody that played in his mind, a beautiful symphony that he could never forget. He had wrapped the scarf around her neck, his fingers brushing against her soft skin. Her smile, radiant and full of life, was a memory seared into his soul. It was a moment of pure happiness, a snapshot of a time when everything was perfect. Now, as he sat on the porch, the weight of her absence pressed down on him. The porch swing continued to creak, a mournful lullaby that echoed the emptiness in his heart. The memories were all he had left, and they were both a comfort and a torment. The swing, the scarf, the scent of lavender. They were all pieces of a past that he could never reclaim but would always cherish. He reached into his pocket, his fingers tracing the edges of a small wooden box. The box was worn, its surface smooth from years of handling, a silent witness to countless moments of hesitation. It was a relic of a past he couldn't let go of, a past filled with words that never found their way to the intended recipient. Inside lay a collection of letters, tied with faded ribbon, each one a testament to a love left unexpressed. These letters were more than just paper and ink. They were fragments of his soul, pieces of his heart that he had carefully penned down but never had the courage to send. Each letter was a story, a moment captured in time, a memory of what could have been, years of unsent words, apologies never spoken, and a lifetime of regret. The letters were a chronicle of his deepest emotions, his hopes, his dreams, and his fears. They were a silent dialogue between his heart and his mind, a conversation that never reached the ears of the one it was meant for. Each unsent letter was a missed opportunity, a chance to bridge the gap between them that he let slip away. Each letter was a painful reminder of missed opportunities, of chances he'd let slip away. He would often sit in the park, holding one of the letters, his mind drifting back to the moments when he had written them. The words on the paper were a reflection of his innermost thoughts, thoughts he could never bring himself to voice. The weight of those unsent letters was a burden he carried with him every day. He remembered how he used to pour his heart onto those pages, his pen bleeding the words he couldn't voice. Writing was his only solace, a way to express the emotions that were too overwhelming to speak out loud. Each stroke of the pen was a release, a way to unburden his heart. But as the ink dried, so did his resolve to send them. The fear of what those words might bring held him back every time. Every doubt, every fear, every unspoken desire was entrusted to the paper. The letters were a safe haven for his vulnerabilities, a place where he could be honest with himself. They held his confessions, his regrets, and his dreams, but they also held his fears. Fear of rejection, fear of change, fear of the unknown. The letters were a testament to his inner turmoil, a struggle between his desire to reach out and his fear of the consequences. But fear held him back. Fear of rejection, fear of ruining the fragile peace they had, fear of shattering the illusion of happiness he'd so carefully constructed. He often found himself lost in thought, contemplating the what-ifs and could-have-beens. The letters remained unsent, a silent testament to his fears and insecurities. They were a reminder of the love he felt but could never express, a love that remained locked away in the confines of his heart and the pages of those unsent letters. The wind whispered through the trees, carrying the echoes of their past. It was as if nature itself remembered the moments they had shared, the laughter that once filled the air, and the dreams they had woven together. The forest, with its rustling leaves and gentle breezes, seemed to be a living testament to their love story, now just a memory. He could almost hear her laughter, see her infectious smile, feel the warmth of her hand in his. Those moments, so vivid in his mind, played like an old film reel, each frame a precious memory. They had shared so much joy, so many dreams, and now, in the quiet solitude of the park, he could almost believe she was still there with him, just out of reach. But it was a cruel trick of his memory, a painful reminder of all he'd lost. The bench where they once sat together now felt cold and empty. The field where they had dreamed of a future together was now just a vast expanse of loneliness. Every familiar place was a stark reminder of her absence, a testament to the void she had left behind. Every rustle of leaves, every chirp of crickets, seemed to whisper the same agonizing question. What if? What if things had been different? What if he had made different choices? The sounds of nature, once a source of comfort, now seemed to mock him with their relentless questions, each one a dagger to his heart. What if he'd been braver, more honest with his feelings? What if he had taken that leap of faith, told her how he truly felt? The park, the forest path, the river, all these places where they had shared so many moments, now served as a backdrop to his endless reflections and regrets. What if he'd fought harder for their love? What if he had not given up so easily? The determination he once felt now seemed like a distant memory, replaced by a sense of helplessness and despair. He wanted to scream into the void, to release the pent-up emotions that threatened to consume him. What if he'd simply told her how much she meant to him? What if he had found the right words to express his love? The letters he never sent, the words he never spoke, all haunted him now. The lake, the garden, the park, all these places where he had once felt so much hope, now seemed to echo with his unspoken words. The questions haunted him, a relentless chorus of regret. Each step he took, each place he visited, was a reminder of what could have been. The campfire, the deserted beach, the mountain trail, all these places where he sought solace, now seemed to amplify his sense of loss. The whispers of "what if" followed him everywhere, a constant reminder of the love he had lost and the choices he could never undo. The weight of his silence pressed down on him, suffocating him in a sea of unspoken words. He'd built walls around his heart, brick by painful brick, until it was an impenetrable fortress, and in doing so, he'd shut her out, pushing her away with his fear and uncertainty. He longed to turn back time, to rewrite the past with the honesty and vulnerability he'd denied them both. But time, like his love for her, was constant and unforgiving. It marched forward, leaving him stranded in a wasteland of what-ifs and if-onlys. Section 5. A Sea of Regret. He closed his eyes, surrendering to the memories that threatened to drown him. Each one was a painful reminder of the love they'd shared, a love he'd taken for granted. He'd been blinded by his own insecurities, his vision clouded by the fear of vulnerability. Now he was drowning in a sea of regret, each wave crashing over him with the force of his mistakes. He saw her face everywhere he looked, heard her voice in the rustling leaves, felt the ghost of her touch in the cool evening breeze. Section 6. Faded photographs, vivid memories. He went inside, drawn to the dusty photo albums tucked away on a shelf. Each photograph was a portal to a happier time, a time when their love was young and untainted by the weight of his mistakes. There they were, young and carefree, their smiles as bright as the sun. He saw her infectious joy, her eyes sparkling with life and love. And he remembered the way she used to look at him, with a love so pure, so unwavering, that it took his breath away. Section 7, A Walk Down Memory Lane. He traced the outline of her face in a photograph, his heart aching with a love that even death couldn't extinguish. He spent hours lost in memories, reliving their first date, their first kiss, the moment he knew she was the one. Each memory, though tinged with sadness, was a precious treasure, a reminder of the extraordinary love they'd shared. He clung to them, desperate to keep her memory alive within his heart. Section 8. Letting Go. As the first rays of dawn pierced through the darkness, he knew it was time to let go. He gathered the letters, the scarf, and the photographs, carrying them outside to the porch swing. With trembling hands he placed them gently on the worn seat as if offering them to the wind. A single tear traced a path down his cheek as he whispered, "I'll never forget you. Your love will always be the light that guides me home." Section 9. A Love That Echoes. As the sun rose higher, casting long shadows across the porch, he felt a sense of peace settle over him. The pain of her loss would always be a part of him, but it no longer held him captive. He would carry her memory with him, a bittersweet reminder of a love that transcended time and loss. He knew that true love never truly dies. It echoes through the years, a timeless melody that whispers of hope, healing, and the enduring power of the human heart.